Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. My name is Evan. His name is Alex, and we are live Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time to bring you helpful Web3 news, commentary, and answers to your crypto questions. Let's get it started.
Good morning, the Rise Up Morning Show.
Man. Alex, what about that show last night, that After Dark show? Wasn't that a great conversation we got to have with Icy?
Dude, that was a good one for a lot of reasons. One, because Icy's great, and I'm just glad that we finally got him on, and that he's been posting, a little bit more, not hyper consistently, but sharing, some of his stuff over on TikTok more. So I'm excited to help him kind of get his following up, because he's mostly on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I mean, just super tapped in to the world of Web3 gaming, super tapped in to, all the stuff that's coming out, the good.
Hold, Alex. Our friends on TikTok say they can't hear you at all, which makes me think that your mic is doing something weird, because I had to turn you way up.
Okay, let me.
Alex was saying he just hates you guys so much and wishes you would cancel him on the internet. I'm just
the worst.
He was. I'm sure he was talking about
the little. I'm getting feedback from StreamYard that it's working.
How interesting. Do this weird test for me, just for fun.
Yeah, let me try the laptop mic and just see if it's this mic or if it's something else.
Mama Swiss says, "Good morning. I can hear you on YouTube. Thank you very much for commenting to let us know."
Not you.
K13 says, "I knew he hated me."
Let's.
Well, the little microphone says muted on purpose, because the way we're routing sound right now is through my little soundboard. Alex and I are in two studios at once, so we've got two audio streams. If he unmutes the mic, we could try that too. You could see if unmuting the mic today works.
Is this same thing? Is it
A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Yeah, let us know. Crypto Tano says he never sounded so good.
Are we still same thing, guys? I
still no Alex?
To the laptop microphone.
Nope, still no Alex. Queen Wartooth, hang on just a second. We're going to troubleshoot this audio issue before we bring you up. Thank you for your patience.
Audio sounds great. Okay, so it's something feeding into TikTok.
Dude, do you know what it is? It's not you, man. It's not you.
Evan.
Look at this. It's me. It's the dongle. I have a checklist I go over, and I just okay, Alex, say something with your beautiful voice.
Evan, you saucy little minx. you got me.
I got you, man.
We should be cooking with gas now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alex Popovich. All right. Thank you very much. We're pros here at the Rise Up Morning Show. It's morning somewhere.
Yep.
I am drinking caffeine tea today, so hopefully I'll get real sharp real soon. What were you saying before we bring Queen Wartooth up? You were just saying some nice things about Icy and how we're trying to get him over on TikTok.
Yeah. So before Evan rugged me to start off the final show of the week here, although I will note that I am fully attractive today because I am drinking out of the proper drinking attire. As opposed to yesterday when I had that just awful not Rise Up mug.
It does make you look better.
But no, I was just saying, it's really nice to have Icy over here. I think TikTok really needs his voice. He creates a ton of content on Twitter. I mean, he's prolific. He's there all day, every day, full-time job. He does not do anything else. He is a content creator. He streams and talks about Web3 gaming, the ins, the outs, the goods, the bads, all that sort of stuff. CPI data is in 20 minutes, foregone. Maybe that is which report you're talking about. But yeah, I'm super stoked. It was a great show. I am very excited to hear more from him. I can't wait to get more of him and more of the wolves over here on TikTok, because we got a lot of dumb shit on this platform, and we need more better voices to help drown it out.
100%.
Better place for you to park your attention.
Park your attention. Yeah, we're grateful you park your attention with us. We're here Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. But you're the best part of the show, though. And we want to answer all your crypto questions. I do see, Alex, you addressed that questions about the job report. As you have questions, keep them rolling in. We're going to welcome Queen Wartooth up in just a second for a great, I'm sure, overview of Dragon Academy. I will tell you that the macroeconomic news will be back next week in full when Will Watson is back on the show with us. He is, I do believe, today at his friend's wake still. So again, from Will, thank you for all the love. And from us, thank you for all the patience, because about as far as Alex and I go with macroeconomics is to read the headlines. We certainly don't have the depth and bench strength that Will does. Alex, I did see that we are waiting on some news, but for people who are curious in the U.S., the jobs report we got about last month's data is that we added about 250,000 jobs. The unemployment rate remained low at 4.1%, and wages grew at an annual rate of 4%. So economic resilience is the word of the day. And there's continued speculation that the Fed may further cut interest rates, but that's anticipated to sustain growth. If you have more macroeconomic questions, please, dear God, that's the end. That's the end of my knowledge. So spare me and get excited
That's
because
all.
this is going to be some exciting stuff. Should I sell before the report is the question. You should be positioned to pivot always. Was what I would say. Be flexible. And if you feel like you might need to watch the news so closely all the time, then you might be overinvested. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I know. We kind of talk about this, on and off, but I'm really feeling more and more just like I am consistently unsure, just given lots of competing interests in kind of the global narrative as far as markets are concerned. There are reasons for it to go up. There are reasons for it to go down. There are reasons for it to stay sideways. And so, whatever you stay agile. And that's why I'm still, to this point, roughly half and half, stables and not stables, 40, 60, 50, 50, something in there. And I'm just kind of, there's a bunch of stuff that looks really juicy. Could it get juicier? Yes. I don't know. I don't know how market, I don't do market stuff. I haven't talked to Will in a couple of days, so I feel totally clueless.
I will say there's a really good podcast out right now from who else but Unchained. They have a series called Bits and Bips that marries crypto with broader macroeconomic pictures. And they were talking about the importance right now of China. And I don't honestly know enough to give you a strong summary and feel confident about it. But I would say go over there to the Unchained podcast, unchainedcrypto.com. Look for their most recent episode of Bits and Bips on all podcast platforms. They have this really compelling case for how China and some of the moves they're making are sort of the final boss for the Q4 economy and for the price of Bitcoin, whether or not they think it will go up significantly past an all-time high to set a new one or remain kind of middling and possibly go down. It was interesting. It was compelling. And that's as far as I can go with it. So you got to check them out. Show is not sponsored by Unchained, but it certainly could be. Alex, what do you say? Are you ready for our friend Queen Wartooth?
I am ready.
Should we call her Your Majesty?
I mean, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just the informal Wartooth will be fine.
Just the informal Wartooth will be fine. Queen Wartooth, would you please resubmit your
please,
request?
Your Majesty. Yes.
Yes, Your Majesty. Yes, Your Majesty. I'm going to send her the invite too this way. Alex, did you want to? Oh, is that her? Yeah, it sure is. Did you want to introduce her while I'm waiting for her to come up? How did you guys meet?
Absolutely.
How do you? I'm not surprised that you have such an illustrious friend, but you told me a little more about the platform, and I know she'll get into it. But give us the tea.
Yeah. So I was connected with Wartooth through our mutual friend Eric, who I met at Consensus. You guys have probably heard me talk about him. He was, one of the original, not founding, but originally brought on team members at Chainlink Labs when it was still a teeny tiny little startup that no one had ever heard of. And he has just been kind of helping. Oh, hold on. Interesting. Okay, 1 second. She's saying that it says live access is needed, which should not be a thing when you're just guesting. Because GC came on from Wolves Down. He just like made an account just to do the
How
stream,
odd,
so it
yeah.
had absolutely zero anything. Give us just a second. Let's
Well,
we can always try the StreamYard thing. I think you can do that from your phone as well, if that's
you certainly can.
if that's
You
the
certainly
case.
can.
So here,
You focus on that, and
Yeah, yeah.
let's do
let me
this.
get this.
Save me from myself. Save us from the clutches of TikTok. And if you've got a crypto question, this is a great time for it while we troubleshoot this issue, because really this is your show. And I do want to touch this one. Does your bank flag or freeze your account if you move over $30,000 from your exchange to your bank? It very well could. I don't know enough about your specific bank's policies, but generally speaking, in the United States where I live, it is possible that your bank could flag something as low as $5,000. I say as low as relative to 30 because I realize for a lot of people like me, $5,000 is a lot of money. In terms of, withdrawals and deposits, I also understand that your exchange, like Coinbase, Binance, may freeze some of your holds coming in from your bank. It really depends on the exchange. That's all in their terms and conditions, and that's unfortunately one of the other final bosses of the crypto space. Exchanges is the primary on and off ramp that a lot of people use, as well as banks. That's how I get in and out of crypto, and so it's really tough because you're reliant on somebody else's terms and conditions. I'd be curious to know more about the situation, though. And I would say that is a good reason for you to specifically talk to your banker and do a little digging to find a crypto-friendly bank, because there are some banks that are more crypto-friendly than others. Exactly. Just call your bank. Usually they have a 24/7 call. I would expect to get better customer service from your bank than I would from a major exchange. If you want better customer service from Coinbase, you might consider upgrading to Coinbase One. Which DeFi accepts fiat? That's a good question. Some places will allow you to use a service like MoonPay to buy crypto. Most decentralized exchanges that I use don't. You have to use a centralized exchange at some point in the process to onboard your cash, to bring in fiat, to turn it into crypto. But I don't necessarily think that's a cause for concern. I'd be curious to know. Your bank would flag whatever seems suspicious. Yeah. If you don't typically do transfers, that could be it too. Haven't had them flag anything in or out. Got it.
Okay. All right. I think we're good. So she's over here on the StreamYard side instead. So let's give this a shot.
Welcome to the show, Queen Wartooth. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, I can hear you great. How about me?
Perfect. Yep.
Oh,
gotcha.
You sound great. You're coming through loud and clear. Thank you so much for bearing with us through the troubleshooting. We've had just a technical troubled morning. I don't know what's going on with that, but
That's
appreciate
okay.
your patience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great show so far.
Oh, you're so kind to say it. So tell us a little more about you. How are things going in your part of the world? And what's going on with Dragon Academy?
Well, things in my part of the world are great. I am building this project and just kind of learning and doing as I'm building, which is awesome and scary, but fun.
Yeah.
And Dragon Academy, which is my project, is going great. We're doing a lot of work this month. October is a super, super busy month to try and get a demo of our product out by the 25th. That's our big goal. And then get something live and out and launched and fully ready to take advantage of by the end of the year.
Excellent. So it is a big month, October 25th. What kind of things are you guys doing leading up to that? And do we get any secret sneak peek? Are you gonna let us jump in there October 24th and break
to try the demo? Absolutely. Come on in. Our demo product is definitely going to be reliant on the feedback from our test users and stuff to actually go into the full product. And we're hoping to use kind of that November and December to iterate on the stuff that we have that we've learned from people actually using it. Because it makes sense to me, right? It's mine. But if
Totally.
somebody else uses it and they're coming in completely fresh, especially completely fresh to crypto, we want to make sure that everything is intuitive and it's not intimidating right off the bat, and it's not too overwhelming right off the bat. And the project is Study Dragons NFT, by the way, if you want to look at the page for it.
Yeah. And you know, we're really passionate very much about those people who may be coming here for the first time. That was one of the reasons I was most excited to get to talk to you, because it sounds like a really novel solution for folks at all levels of experience. And I wonder if you could talk a little more about just your vision. What is it that you're building precisely, and what inspired you to build it the way you are? Because this is like a great cross between learning, gamification, crypto. And also, Alex told me that, you know, you haven't spent much time pitching. So if we're not asking helpful questions and you just want to steamroll us to tell us more, feel free. Because I'm really excited for our audience to get to ask you some questions too. So if you
Thank
guys have
you.
questions as you're listening, please don't hesitate. I'll be watching the chat. But Wartooth, you know, tell us more. What is Dragon Academy?
So, kind of like in the name, it's basically a school that you're sending your companion NFT to. And you and your companion NFT here are learning, doing some on-chain tasks. So being immersed kind of in the different really cool apps and products that crypto has right now. And then you're doing a small piece of fractional work. And what I mean by fractional work is, instead of being hired for a role, like let's say you're a non-technical person and you want to find a remote job in crypto, but nobody's going to hire you for a full year because you don't have any experience. You're not really sure how to get started. Fractional work can help you create one piece of content and get paid for it, and then scale on that, or create, you know, one systems in place and implement it, and then see if they can hire you full time. That's how I've worked. That's how I've gotten work in the space since I've been in the space in 2020. And I wanted to recreate that journey for people, which is to come into crypto and knowing, you know, what crypto is, and you know you want to make money, right? And you're not really sure how, and you're not really sure what's a scam or a rug, or even not a scam or a rug. What is just something good to buy and sell, like your viewers were asking earlier, because everybody wants to make money. And when I started this, I was kind of coming to it from that approach. Like, what do users actually want to do? They want to interact with something fun. Yeah, they want it to be kind of cool and not just necessarily like, oh, I can put my $30 into this account and I'll have $35.07 in like 2040. So they want to make money and they want to have fun, right?
Yeah.
How could I do that? The only way that I know to make money consistently is not going to be popular, but it's work. It's working. It's learning this industry. It's meeting people in the industry that are aligned with you and that also want to build cool stuff. And then finding your own talent, finding your edge and what you're good at. So that could be creating TikToks. That could be creating short form content for X or for Twitter. That could be something as simple as just go use a product that is spending a lot of money on advertising. Go check it out and make a short video about, like, you know what, I give this 3 stars or I give this 5 stars. And eventually people will pay you for that kind of content. And that kind of content leads to roles in the space. I'm really excited to build it. The gamification part is just kind of a way that we try to get you through this process, right? Of learning just so much of, you know, not just the beginnings of what is a wallet and why are we even here in crypto and the orientation of it all, but all the way through, like, how do you find your edge? How do you find what you're good at? How do you try all these different things if nobody will give you a shot? You know, how do I even know I can be a project manager, or I can be a social media coordinator, or I can be a marketing person if I don't get to actually try these things out? So as you're leveling your dragon and it's growing and changing and reflecting the decisions that you've made at the academy, you're actually also signaling to employers, other team members, people on the blockchain, that this is my digital identity. You know, maybe I'm wallet number 0x558355, but who I really am here is Pepito the Dragon. You know, this is my on-chain little guy. He's my companion. And you can see visually what I've done on chain because he changes. So all of that adds up together to form this big giant, like, half Duolingo, half Neopets learning modules that come together to help you do one thing, and that's make money in crypto, own your labor, become self-sovereign, Don't rely on just one job or one boss or one hope to make money and have a future here. Diversify, make money in crypto lots of different ways.
I think this is really cool for one reason too, that we've actually been covering a little bit more recently. It's just kind of the idea of, changing the way that we represent ourselves. And Coinbase, specifically Base, as they solicit for new positions, they are including in the job solicitation a note to simply, and there's not much detail yet, it's kind of a new requirement, but have a robust on-chain resume. And this is something that we talk about all the time, is like, hey, listen, not everything that you do do not say Neopets around Alex. It's true. I'm a big Neopets fan.
Yeah, whenever Alex says Neopets, take a drink.
But just the idea that, like, hey, not everything that you do in crypto has to be, 10x leveraging on some shitcoin that you just, heard of from, Joe Bob on TikTok. You can also just like do something to mark the fact that you've, grown or evolved or leveled up some way on chain by, I don't know, owning this NFT or, buying one of these tokens just to mark that you have some, that kind of thing. So I assume that that's a big part of it. I know that we've talked about that before, just, building and fleshing out that on-chain resume in a way that is immutable and yours and easily verifiable, and kind of all of these general benefits of becoming more of a digitally autonomous individual using a blockchain to verify all that kind of stuff. I guess the question here is, where do you see that going? And when can I apply for a job just by showing somebody my dragon?
So by showing someone your dragon, probably far from that. But
it sounds like a personal problem.
There is something.
It's early.
The on-chain resume portion of this is why this was built on the blockchain. It's the entire reason that we've even bothered to put in blockchain transaction to keep track of this. One, because yes, on-chain resumes, you may also see it called on-chain identity or on-chain reputation, is going to be really important coming up for things like airdrops, getting jobs, finding grants, getting connected with people.
Grants is a big one.
There's probably 3 different paths that I'm watching people take with this. And the first one is there's a company called Talent Protocol. They are going to build on Base a very, very robust kind of aggregator of all the different reputation systems, I guess, games and things like Galaxy and different participation incentivizing protocols and stuff. They take all of that together and give you, I think they call it Talent Passport, and that becomes an on-chain resume. Now, Base Names also has a very similar product. Your on-chain resume and stuff of your builder profile, I think they call it, is really critical to defining sort of what you've done on chain and how long you've been here, and just the sort of historical stuff like you were talking about you've taken place in, but also things that you've done like going to community events or collecting like a POAP or making contributions to, I don't know, say like documentation or something. That's all stuff that can be put on chain through something called attestations. And attestations are what we do. And that's where all of these reputation systems are getting their data from. How do they know what kind of builder you are? Well, they go and someone like Talent Protocol aggregates the information across different things like Galaxy and us and different reputation building platforms, right? That's probably really confusing, but basically these reputation systems need data. And the data they have right now is all public and all blockchain, but it's not organized. So our first step here is getting that data organized, and that's what those big companies are working on right now. Our second stage is making that data readable to a human who could see, okay, this guy has a builder profile and he's got 60 points here. What does that mean? That means he's interacted with 6 protocols, and each time he got 10, points. All of that stuff doesn't mean a ton to you, especially across different protocols measuring different things, until we give it an identity, an actual your builder score or your resume. That's the kind of stuff that's powered by these attestations. So when you do a learning module at the academy, or you complete an on-chain task, or you get rated, based on your content and stuff by our admins or one of our partners, that creates a little bitty blockchain transaction that just sits with your NFT And on your end, makes it maybe the color changes a little bit. Maybe he gets a little bigger. Maybe he gets something special with him. But what's actually happening in the background is that data is saying, oh, okay, this person, this wallet has done these things. And those reputation systems that are looking for data to pull of, hey, how do we figure out what this person's reputation is? What contributions have they done? Those attestations go into your reputation. So building your reputation is important, and making sure that whatever you're doing on chain is stuff that you want to have done on chain.
Sure.
But what's also important is learning how to enhance your reputation. If you want those airdrops, if you want to get grants, if you want to have access to the ability to build or find builders in crypto, you're going to need to have somebody vouch for you. And those vouchings are either social, or it's your friend that knows people, or if they're on the blockchain, somebody has signed a transaction that says, yes, this person has done this. And then we all collaborate together and get a fully kind of scope of what you've done and who you are on chain.
So how do you, this is getting into some technical stuff. And I want to slow it down for some people in our audience who maybe are missing the impact of this. Also, shout out to Josh. I'm sorry I invited you up by accident. We're in the middle of an interview, but thank you for the gifts. I love you, man. When people are grasping this concept right now, we're trying to move from trusted intermediaries to like trustless on-chain enabled future. But like, what does that look like? You've given a really concise explanation of attestation, but who is qualified to say, yes, here's a claim, I'm submitting it about, I don't know, I'm a host on the Rise Up Morning Show, and I want to submit a claim that everybody in the audience, that our friend Crypto Machinery came by and watched the show this week, or that Joshua Jake just came by and gave us a gift. And who is qualified to, what kind of things can I prove? And is it flexible? Is it difficult for you to update and maintain? And why would I want to do that instead of just going to, I don't know, some other solution?
So I think I'll answer your questions reversed there, because
Please.
Why would you do this in this capacity on the blockchain? And you hit it on the head perfectly with the first thing that you said, and that's so that we don't have to trust a third party. We have a proof of something that happened, right? So let's say that we could take all of your viewers right now that are in the audience, and I'm not sure how we do this, but take some sort of attendance or something and agree on a standard that says this is what it means when you're here. You show up at this time, you're here, we have everyone check in, and maybe they even sign a transaction or do something that creates a blockchain record, or you do. You've created a record that said something happened. And that's kind of where the data is right now, and in its kind of infancy of online reputations. Something happened, and we put it on the blockchain to say that it happened, either via an NFT, an achievement, a POAP, or just a simple signature. Maybe you post a link in this chat, and anyone who's here has 15 minutes or so to sign this transaction and prove, hey, I sat here and I watched this show. We do that on the blockchain because then nobody has to trust. You could publish that data to the blockchain there, and nobody would have to trust that Queen Wartooth says that I was there. She took roll, right? She took it, and it's on her computer, it's on a spreadsheet, and she says that I was there. No one has to trust Queen. No one has to trust TikTok. We can say we know that this happened because someone signed a blockchain transaction.
And we can verify who that person is by looking at their keys or looking at their history or their credentials, right? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding.
That's fine. Yeah, you can. It also can be anonymous, because simply you're just saying something happened. This user did this, and how do we trust that happened? Well, because they signed a transaction. Something had to have happened for them to be able to sign that transaction. In our example here, that'd be you posting like a link. Or for us, that'd be you get through a learning module, you've completed a quiz, and now you get to actually press sign transaction. Once that happens, you've now made a record of something. And that's all a blockchain is, right? It's just a record, a database of different things that have happened. And so sometimes that's transactions of, I've sent you 30 Bitcoin and you've sent me 15 Bitcoin and stuff. And sometimes it can be, I've sent you a message, or you've sent me an NFT. Those things are provable because they are on the blockchain. It's sort of a circular argument there, but The reason that we can trust it is because it's public, because it's something that everyone can see and update and interact with. And we don't have to trust any one entity. We can take all of this data and make sure that, one, it happened, like it's true, it was there, someone did sign it, or they did complete this module, and we know that they completed it and understood it because they passed a quiz and they did this transaction and they created a piece of work, right? After all of that happens, we now have several events that have happened on chain that we can use to tell a story to these aggregators and these online reputation, I guess brokers is not the right word, but on-chain reputation platforms, where they can take all these transactions that just say something happened and turn that into, okay, this person has been exposed to this material, either via Dragon Academy or through your TikTok. Let's say in our example again, that everyone in here signed a transaction to prove they were here, right? That doesn't really mean much unless we can tell people, hey, if this person signed this transaction, that means that they've been exposed to this topic. Queen Warchick came in and talked about Dragon Academy. We had technical difficulties. Like there's all these things that did actually happen that we could go back and look and watch the recording or see what happened and prove that, yes, they were there. Yes, they heard the information. And let's say there was a quiz after this, that we all
Sure.
got quizzed on what happened. Yes, they understood. So those all transactions can go from just data attestations saying, yes, this happened, to insights. Yes, they understood. Yes, they've been exposed to this. Yes, they've used TikTok before. Yes, they've attended a live TikTok before. And then what that turns into is then partners able to say, hey, I want to distribute my token, right? Or I want to distribute even just like information about my token. But I really need users who know what TikTok is. I really need them to understand Dragon Academy, and they can't be completely new to crypto. They got to know a little bit about DeFi to get my coin. Can you give me a list of those users? And the people who are building on-chain reputations right now will say, absolutely. I can go through all these transactions and filter and sort by what happened to find you users that fit what you want, what their experience is.
And that to me is such a cool piece of what blockchain could do if we organize the data in a helpful way. The example that we sometimes give is talking about how businesses can move from an extractive value proposition to a shared one. Like if you are a customer at McDonald's and every receipt is an attestation on the blockchain, if it's tokenized, then they will have the means to see who their most valuable customers are in terms of loyalty, in terms of actual dollars and cents, maybe in terms of like repeat purchases. And then Burger King can also use that, and without needing to know anything about you, can send you an NFT coupon that's like, hey, you're a great McDonald's customer. We really think you'd love the Whopper. Can you try one for free today on us? Like, because that data is there, it's verifiable, and it's just easy for anybody to see.
Yeah. Zapper is actually doing a really cool thing with that right now. I don't know if you guys have ever used Zapper, but they're building basically like a Netflix kind of, you liked this coin, other people who like this coin also like this coin, and you
Very
might
cool.
like this coin. And it's all based on, they don't know anything about you. You're just an address. Or for people making visual versions of these reputations, you're just a dragon, or you're just a name card. But those name cards or dragons or something, they mean something, right? They represent a bunch of these different transactions that are proving that different things happened and are true of you. What's really interesting too is when we start to get human attestations. So if the three of us, instead of having people, let's say, just sign a blockchain transaction, we decide, okay, we're going to sign blockchain transactions that say, yes, everyone was here, but also that the three of us are trusted to take role, I guess, or to do this task or to host a TikTok. And other humans can come in and say, yes, I know Alex. Yes, I know Queen. And they do a good show there. If he says it on that TikTok, it's probably pretty good information like this. And then our attestations mean more. If you signed up with that transaction and said, hey, I attended this TikTok, but nobody really knows the TikTok. Well, it happened, and we know that it happened, and we could go prove that it happened, but the impact doesn't matter as much. However, you have a big audience, right? You have really good quality content. Other people that see that can make an attestation that says, this guy has great quality content. And so his users, his people that come here and they sign their transactions to say, hey, I was here, those guys are, well educated. That's our goal. And the only way that we can do that, or anybody can do that right now, is by proving the outcomes of their users, by showing that, hey, when they watch our TikToks, for, I don't know, 3 weeks or something, afterwards they lead to better insights about the market, or when given a quiz, they can do really well on it, or maybe even their blockchain P&L goes up. They make more money than other people. Now you have data.
So how can people like us and people like our friends who watch the show, how can they start to use this? Because we definitely have, we have courses that we offer. We have the show. And I think, Alex and I have talked about one of the things we would love is not just to create a knowledge base courses for our users. We use stuff like Eventbrite right now. We use the show. We use Discord. But we would love to verify the things that people learn. And we also are thinking about other creators too. Because people trust us so much, we would love to help other creators figure out, like, what does it mean to be an ethical content creator, especially in the crypto space? Did you take a course with us about that? Did you get a, yes or no, pass or fail, attesting to your ethics, especially if it was like a revocable credit? We would love to start implementing some of those things. So for people like us and for people like our users, I don't know if the best place now, we haven't talked too much about the experience of the platform. I would love to learn more, though, about how you envision people will use it for maybe things like that, like A to B to C. I log into your platform and now I do this, or I get to do this. Here's how it becomes a game. Here's how it becomes social. Can you apply the example a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the example that you gave in, let's say, creating ethical content, right?
Sure.
How that would work is we would maybe have a learning module that would be interactive in the sense that you are asking, or you're being asked kind of questions that guide you through the next steps. So the first one, just off the top of my head, would probably be, what is ethical content, right? How do you make ethical content, and some information about that. And then what is it? Which of these is, excuse me, an example of ethical or unethical behavior? All of those things you would go through, you'd complete the learning module, take a quiz on it, but then you'd have something to do on chain. You'd maybe have to make a piece of ethical content or create an article about what you've learned or something to that effect. Once that happened, and it's again signed on the blockchain that you've done this, you get feedback either from you guys, who would be in this scenario one of our partners, or from us. If our partners don't give feedback, or if that's something that they don't have the bandwidth to do yet, we give feedback. And we would say, okay, well, this was written by ChatGPT and it took you 1 minute. We'll give that, 2 stars. You technically did the work for it. But if you really do a good job and you try and you put a little bit of engagement into it and you get 5 stars, well, that means something, right? And later, when we go back and you guys as partners need, hey, I want to find 50 pieces of content. We're about to do a big launch. I want to get, a bunch of different TikToks out to talk about this. Which content creators can I use? You can go through our users and select from, okay, I want to filter for people who have done this module called ethical content, people who have done the activity with it and submitted it, and people who have gotten 4 stars or up, and show me those users. Then you can give those guys the opportunity, and we call those bounties, the opportunity to do this fractional work. And that's something that you set the price on. You might pay, let's say, I don't know, $10 to make a 1-minute video about ethical content or about anything, about you guys, about the show. From there, you then have a select list of people who can help you out making your content. Your users and our users, or your viewers, our users, have the opportunity to make a little bit of money just making something like this. And then that becomes its own attestation. When they do finish the work and you guys give them 5 stars or you guys give them 2 stars, something that goes and adds more into their reputation, that now they have work experience and a portfolio and they can get even more opportunities for work. So from your end, it's really beneficial. From the user's end, all they're really doing is going through, oh, I've got another learning module today. Let me finish my module. Let me do this little task. And now I've, completed this thing. Great. Awesome. My dragon is not hungry for today. We haven't released a ton of features yet, but basically every day, if you don't do at least 1 transaction, your dragon gets hungry and the
Okay,
art changes.
I want to know more about that too, because I feel like we've talked a lot about
Yeah.
the technical aspects of it, but how
Sure.
do people, this is like a game, or it's
Yeah.
like a learning through
Gamified
play.
learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me more about that experience. Like, I'm not just clicking a website and taking a test. I'm in this world with my dragon.
Yeah. So, and I can't release a ton of stuff. Right, I'm in a program right now, and we have a bunch of stuff, so we can't talk too much about the front end. Also, we're just still making it. Like, we don't have our demo out. But when you come into the academy, right, the very first thing that you're doing is hatching your dragon, and you can pick a few starting characteristics. You can pick his name. You can do a few things with him, and you'll have access to the academy for the most part, right? You'll have access to most of our learning, but not any ability to earn USDC yet, not any ability to earn reputation yet. And this is all free so far, right? You've made your dragon. You now have the ability to go in and start learning and start kind of getting used to the platform. And the education part of that just looks like clicking, kind of swiping, clicking, swiping, clicking. And then the on-chain aspect of that is an actual on-chain task. You navigate out of our website, you go and do a task, you're signing something, and in your same wallet that you've got your NFT hooked to, you will create a transaction or do something that we can verify on our end. From there, our website can tell through our database what you've done and whether or not you've signed a transaction or not, or whether or not you've been, approved, or your content's been approved. And your dragon would change a little bit, and you could go visit him, see what happens, see what he looks like now. Is he different? Is he bigger? Does he have a new toy? Does he have anything? And it won't happen every time. Sometimes you're just leveling. Sometimes you've gone from level 1 to level 3, or level 3 to level 4. And then you have something that says, hey, we've got, an achievement for you here. If you can do all these by, Friday, you can win this NFT. And if you win this NFT, you get, some tokens from our friends, or a free chance at a grid wallet, or a paintbrush for your dragon. So you're kind of sitting with your dragon in this world building, or in this world setting, traveling from concept to concept to concept. You can kind of track him on his map that he's going. And then you're also watching him change. You're watching the NFT change. You're also interacting with crypto stuff, just protocols, platforms. You're doing research. And the point of that, to get you out of our website completely, is because if you are looking for fractional work, you do need to learn to do these things with your hands. You can't just do them in your brain, or you've got to actually click the buttons, sign the transactions, use the products, and then come back and see what's happened, what's changed, what's different. And as long as you do one of those things a day, you can feed your dragon, you can play with him, and he's going to be completely happy and super cute and have some surprises for you when you come visit. But if you don't, and you let him be hungry, first of all, there's an attestation for that.
Oh,
That
no.
your dragon is sat hungry. And second, the art updates. And our artist really went hard on it to make sure that you can just see how miserable he is, that nobody fed him today. You couldn't take 20 minutes out of your day to do one little task to help him out, and he
Oh my
is
God.
hungry.
It's like those St. Jude ads, or like
I mean,
those
it-
ASPCA things. Oh my God.
If you remember, what happened when you used to go on vacation for a week and come back and look at your Neopets? They were all just in tears, just
Yep.
openly weeping.
Starving, ribs showing. It's sad. And then you do have, it's not a bad thing on your reputation. I'm a big believer that really your reputation shouldn't be anything that can be decreased, because that's such a slippery slope. For me, and this is just my personal ethos, I think it should be what you do. Okay, I've learned these things, I've done these things, I've contributed these things, and no matter what happens personally, that's all true. That's all still true. Now, let's say you go off the rails and start making crazy content. Maybe you don't get hired anymore, but your reputation still is that you did make the content, you did take the lessons,
Mm-hmm.
But you do have attestations there that say, like, they didn't come every day. They weren't not immersed every day. And learning crypto is much like learning a new language. You got to practice. You got to do it every day to kind of pick up on the little bitty nuances that would take months to explain over content.
Yeah.
You have to actually touch it. There's no other way to do it. I've onboarded a lot of people. I was onboarded myself just like this. And somebody shows you, somebody helps you out, make sure you have everything you need. Make sure that there is, okay, we're going to teach you how to use gas stop zip. We'll go ahead and put $5 on these 2 chains that we're going to ask you to go to, so you don't have to mess with it. but you should know what has happened, right? You should know and understand what's going on. And then when you do something like make a review for gas.zip, go and use it. That is going to be something that you can prove. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there because I was looking at my website. That you can prove happened, that you can prove that you have experience with now, not just, okay, I did a module on gas.zip, but more like I've bridged to a bunch of different chains. I know what a bridge is. I know what bridging looks like, feels like. That kind of information is really important to our partners who say things like, man, we can't really market because people need to be brought so far up to speed to even know what the heck we're talking about.
Sure.
And then that means that they have a really niche audience of just these crypto natives, and we're all trading the same money around, where if we brought people to different chains, if we brought people over and had them actually experience these things on the blockchain, they may actually find some real use out of it or a real passion from it. Or my hope, they're going to find a talent in themselves. They're going to see something and think, well, I could do that maybe a little bit better even. What if they thought about it like this? And before you know it, you're not worrying about, am I going to sell my crypto? Am I going to buy this shit coin? Am I going to trade? You're worrying about, like, am I going to raise 5 million or 10 million for this idea? Or am I going to get, a $200,000 angel grant to build my dream? That kind of stuff happens all the time. And right now it's purely based on kind of Web2 principles of who you know, yes, what you've done, but in a very like, okay, we're going to have to talk to these people kind of way. And, and who knows if you're actually going to be good at this? Well, nobody. It could go great. It could go bad. But this new system is going to be able to say, hey, listen, I can show you that I have all of this education, all of this experience. I've done these things on chain. You can look at examples of my work on chain, and I want to make a protocol out of my edge. I want to, make a TikTok channel. I want to make a TikTok channel where I review games and stuff for Web3. And I think I would need $100,000 a year to quit my job and do that full time. Someone out there will give you that money. Like, if you're good at stuff, if you actually have talent, if you're intelligent and engaged, every industry is hurting for people who will do a job and do it well. And the only way to do that is to find something you're good at and find something you like doing, and then sell that labor. Don't sell it to a company, sell it direct, sell it to yourself, sell it like to anybody that can give you money for it, without you having to say, well, my friend here got me this job, or, I applied and I heard back, and I do these kinds of things, and I have morning meetings, and I do all this stuff, and I make okay money, but, maybe I don't get to make TikToks as much as I wanted. Like, you can just sell directly what you're good at, and there's a need for it.
I have a question about access and equity. This comes from our friend Tori. There are obviously a lot of people in crypto that don't speak English as a first language. And I'm curious to know, what is your plan to onboard people who are non-native English speakers? Tori's comment is that sometimes categorizing people, ranking folks at attestations can be unhelpful for ESL people. And the other thing I want to ask about in that regard is like the social component, because I understand, you built this also so that people could have a low barrier to entry, still fulfilling and meaningful social outlet. Like, what is the capacity for interaction here that is meaningful beyond just taking tests?
So social interaction, we have our Discord that we'll have so that people can meet up and do assignments together, and we'll have some team activities where you'll find someone whose specialization is different than yours. And the way we find that is through colors of dragons. Your color of dragon represents your talent tree and the things that you've spent time developing. And that means that, let's say I need someone that's really good at code or project management or technical stuff. I'm looking for, let's say, a blue dragon. And when we go, you can scroll through other people's work, you can scroll through other people's profiles and stuff, and their profile is very simple. It's their dragon, and you can click it, and you can see their portfolio. There's no identifying information. It's simply just a reflection of your on-chain identity. But that means you can find that person, and without having to know them, trust them, understand what they've done, you can see that they're a good fit, because you can see a history of what it is that they've done on chain. And you can sort through all the people quickly because their dragon looks different than other people's dragon. Does that make sense?
That
I don't
makes
know if that's
sense.
been
So,
well.
but there's no not like a Club Penguin or RuneScape component where you're in this world as your character and you're interacting with other people as their character. That's
No.
that's the purview of Discord.
Yeah, that's the purview. And you still, I think, in Discord would probably be you'd be there doing your stuff.
Sure.
We don't have like a Club Penguin aspect of it, but that's a really good idea. Maybe we will on like a V2 or something be able to, I don't know, pilot
And
your
what
little
about
journey.
and what about non-native English folks? Because I really am just thinking about the opportunities for decentralized work that exist here that are meaningful for many people, and how we saw with play to earn gaming, and it was kind of like this. I heard someone call it a treadmill that makes you fatter, and how all these play to earn games became really popular in places around the world where $10 a day could change somebody's life, and they would just sit and grind and grind. And this seems like a much better version of that, where somebody could have a meaningful opportunity to improve their station in life by connecting to a global network and engaging in work that verifies, helps them build skills. But if it's only in English, and I understand it may just be for now, but I wanted to give you a chance to address that. Is that something you have plans to do, is to expand broader to other people, languages, and places?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that it has to be in English now because, very sadly, that's the only language I speak.
Sure.
And we're new and we're early to this, but they bring up, whoever asked that question, great point. And crypto has noticed that. And crypto has also noticed that, hey, guess what? There's a whole world out there of people, and we don't have to have all of our content in English. We don't have, there's that kind of has been the case in the past, I think, of people that sort of see English as the default crypto language. But we're seeing a lot of protocols and big names change that and have their own versions of marketing and content, and all of those things are going to need people to create them, especially if you speak two languages. If you only speak the one language, that's fine too. That's also content that needs to be created, and it's as soon as we have this stuff translated, right? As soon as we can branch out, I think we would probably, like, Latin America is obviously a really popular destination right now for crypto. I know that everyone is trying to get into like more of the Asian countries and stuff over there to try and get more of their interaction and their people. It's a little bit more difficult, but trying to get a global audience is important to every brand. And that means that it can't just be default English. Not anymore. We've gone beyond it. And every language is going to need creators in their native language. So right now, only in English. Soon, though, and if you want to work as a translator, DM me, hit me up, because that's something that we could probably, especially with the nuances of crypto language. We can't just throw this into a chat GPT kind of thing and just hope that it spits out the right information. We could, but then we would have attestations against us of like, their content's good in English, but it's gibberish in another language. That's stuff that we don't want to happen, right? So that's something that we would hire someone as fractional work, instead of like, hey, come work for us for a year and we'll do this long, lengthy interview process and see if you can maybe help us, to, hey, translate this lesson, and let me see, and then I can take it to other places and get a verification of that quality of work. And if it's what I like, I can verify on the blockchain, this person did a great job. Let me make another bounty for them. Lesson 2, can you translate this one into Portuguese? Lesson 3. And now, just because you've done the work, the other person decided to give you more, and now you've got this back and forth going, you have a job, and it didn't take you a resume. It didn't take you needing to know or do anything besides proving, I've done some of these things on the blockchain. I know these concepts and I can show you that I know them. And I can do this job, this one little piece, not necessarily a whole role, but I can do this piece and I can do it high quality. And if all those things are true, you have learned the things that you said you learned, you can do high quality work, you can get engaged and deliver something back, you will get more work, almost guaranteed, because that is in short supply right now of people that can deliver cool stuff, and people that can do things, besides just, I don't know, consume.
Yeah.
I mean, to your point, that's a great use case for the platform in and of itself, is just the ability to connect with people who are bi or multilingual, and I mean, incentivize through, like you said, through the whole idea of, piece by piece fractional work to get individual modules translated. Maybe someone, is more of an expert in one thing. Like you said, there's so much nuance to this language and all of this jargon that it's not probably out of the question that someone who is new but has like a firm grasp on both languages might not be able to do every single one. That would be kind of an interesting, that would literally be the platform working to, kick off in English and then attract people and be able to start sort of piece by piece expanding all of these modules into a bunch of different languages.
I like that, actually. I think that's going to be a really cool marketing thing for us too, is to show like, look, we're using our own stuff. It's great. That's our hope for the protocol partners that we have too. We have a lot of different partners that work with us that in the beginning are just working with us because they like the product and they kind of like the concept. But eventually we're going to coax them into, hey, look at some of these 5-star users and the content that they've created for you. Isn't it great? Isn't it wonderful? And when they see, why, yes, it is great. It is wonderful. Look at the services that we offer. We can do translation. We can do and right now it's just bounties. They can list bounties and list a price for the bounties and basically screen out who can apply for the bounty. But what if we could do it of just like, all right, we offer these services because we have, 1,500 people who are verified user testers and 50 verified translators and stuff like that. That's not a product feature. That's just something I'm thinking of as you're saying this. But our main product feature now for partners is just this, is being able to very quickly get a huge, list of people who could help them make something. Let's say I don't need to hire a social media manager. I have 6 hours, or 24 hours, let's say, and I want to have a thread that I wrote translated into Portuguese. And that's all I need. And I don't want to just dump it into, Chat GPT, or maybe it's too hard. Maybe something like attestations means something different in Portuguese and it's not coming across. Right. If we have somebody on that platform who has a history of translating and has 5 stars, they have the opportunity to see, hey, here's one that will fit you. Here's one that fits your experience and it pays this much money. And they do a good job. Our partners are happy because now they have educated people. And eventually they say, hey, where do all these great translators come from? Or where do all these great content creators come from? Who are they learning? Who are they getting this from? They're getting it from Dragon Academy. That's who these attestations are from. And over time, that's how we become like a Pearson or something like that, is being able to show our users get hired, our users make money, our users improve, even if you come in and you try your best and get 1 star, if you try your best and over the next 3 months, you're up to 4 or 5 stars, there's a lot of people, or even 3 stars, there's a lot of people that will still want to work with you because of that, because you've shown that you can grow. There's different things that people are looking for their products and their needs.
Yeah, we've had that conversation too, just that, as it stands, there is no, gigantic, globally or even nationally recognized standard for proof, that you have accomplished XYZ. There's no like course certification. There's no majorly accepted degree accredited degree platform or anything like that. The way that it's going to come about is exactly this methodology. Create something, start giving it to people, and just, let it do the thing organically. Any of these gigantic, schools that have their sterling reputations or whatever for churning out high quality graduates in XYZ, whatever field, didn't just open their doors and say, okay, this is now the standard of excellence. It was earned over time, which doing that via blockchain makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And a lot of people are trying, all the people that do make these education protocols or even reputation things, they're going to say they're the standard, but I think the real test of this is going to come to outcomes. Do your users get hired anywhere? Do your users actually make money on the chain? That was the whole point, right? Or do your users just kind of make it 20% of the way through your education and they never really see the other side of it? Or maybe worse, they finish all the education and they can't really find any work. And their work is not really up to standards and stuff. That means that they weren't educated correctly. They didn't have access to something. That means someone probably either phoned it in on the content, or they themselves never lived it. They never made it. They never actually made a TikTok, or they actually didn't run an audience for a few months and stuff. So when they make a TikTok or they show someone how to make a TikTok, they can Google it and they can give you information that's out there, but they can't tell you what's actually worked for them. And I think that's a big edge to my platform, is that this onboarding experience that we've created and made into a curriculum is the experience that I've had, and it's the experience that I've given to others of just personal friends when they say, Queen, show me about crypto. I want to know about what this is. What is it all? Because it takes me like probably about a month slowly over time to show people. And it just starts with me teaching them a little piece. This is wallets. This is a hardware wallet. This is the difference. Now go download them, play with it a bit, and come back to me.
Yeah.
And for us, that's one of the first things that they do. And they do some user reviews for that. And they write about what they liked and what they didn't like. And that turns into, hey, here's my first piece of content I've ever made. And our partners get, hey, here's a bunch of reviews from actual people who are going to try and help you develop your product a little bit better.
So as we wind things down, I want to ask just a couple more questions. I want to know how our folks can get involved. I want to know if there's anything that you didn't share that you feel needs to be, addressed to make your heart complete. And in that vein, I have to ask first, is this personal for you?
Oh, big time. Yeah, this is super personal for me. I don't remember your other questions that you asked. Is that one?
I'll come back to them. I just wanted to, prep our audience to let them know this is it. Tell me how this is personal for you, as much as you feel comfortable divulging.
Sure. So back in 2020, I was in commercial property management and just living my normal life, and suddenly got laid off. That was right before COVID happened. But I also had some other stuff happen that made it very hard for me to leave my house. And it started at social anxiety, and then it turned into pretty full-blown agoraphobia, where I could not set foot outside of my door. And I was burning through my savings. I didn't have very much. I'd been given a little bit of money for being laid off, and I had some, but it was so stressful to me, and I needed a way that I could quickly make money online by using stuff I was already good at. And the only options available to me were either really unsavory, an outright scam, or they were going to take like 2 months. And then these people wanted me to, show up to an interview. They needed to trust me, know me, like me. But I couldn't leave my house, and I was a wreck. I could still work. I could still make things. I could still do copywriting and stuff. And when I was kind of posting on Twitter just about my experience in the voids and stuff and trading, I started noticing that I would get a lot of engagement. I would get some content. People would actually reach out to me and say hey, I really like this thread. Would you do one for us? And that was kind of a light bulb moment for me of realizing oh, if all you have to do is show that you can do it, that's proof enough for these guys, for these crypto people. And soon enough, then when I would go and say, hey, does anybody have any, copywriting jobs or marketing job? I'm looking for work right now. I'd DM someone or they'd DM me. And I think at that point I had 600 followers. But it would always be the same question. Can you show me something that you've done? Can you show me a thread, or could you write this thread or do this? And I had just been keeping myself sort of a list of the things I was proud of that I'd done. I did this thread and it got this engagement, or I wrote this article for these guys. And then that led to more work, more responsibility, the ability here to start realizing I can hustle. I can write. I'm good at that. I found my edge. I found something. And the only way I found that, I didn't read a book about it or ask my friend, is I just tried doing different things. I tried doing different things until I found something that people were willing to pay me for. And once I found that grew into roles, that grew into writing white papers and doing marketing, go-to-market strategies, which led into getting full-time jobs and clients and being able to be free, And I can't leave my house now. We're good. 4 years later, we're fine on that. It's hard sometimes, but it's still great. But I was given freedom through agency. And the only thing that gave me that agency was doing things, was being walked through this onboarding process of crypto by very generous friends who showed me things like what is a wallet and what is this protocol and that kind of stuff. And then me being able to use my very small at that time platform to write about what I was doing. That won't be the case for everybody. If you're a good writer, there's definitely room for you. If you're good at anything, there's room for you. But the biggest thing is finding out what you're good at and finding what you like by simply doing it, not just thinking about it.
And what a great place you've built to invite people to become curious about what they might be good at and learn and explore and grow. So thank you for sharing that. And tell us how folks here can start to get involved again.
So head to studydragons.com. and you can check it out, read a lot about us. We are minting eggs right now. Eggs do not give you access to the academy. The academy is still being built. I'm very loath to like advertise yet. We have our website up. You can buy an egg. But the academy demo, again, is going to be out by the 25th, and that'll be something you can play for free. So following us on Twitter, Study Dragons NFT, you'll obviously get announcements for that, or just going to our website and reading more. You can get information that way. Follow me on Twitter. I'm always, I'm forever yapping about this product. But yeah, that's how the best way right now to get involved. We're still really early, but we're cooking. October's a busy month.
I do have one more question. We're kind of stepping back into it, but this is a really good question from our audience. Is there any concern that people are going to take advantage of this platform the way they buy those little tap to click buttons and use AI to just the treadmill that makes you fatter to just get all the incentives and outcompete everybody else by doing menial things like that? Or is this what have you done to make sure humans win on this platform?
You're not going to like it, but we did think of this, and the only thing that works is we made it expensive. It's pretty expensive to buy this NFT. And that was an unpopular decision. And it's one that I've had to kind of stand by as a founder. But one, it makes you invested in what it is that you're doing. You paid, I think right now they're 0.1 ETH. 0.1 ETH is around $250.
Yeah.
So by paying that money, you can absolutely try and go through and just use a bunch of ChatGPT, get a bunch of 1-star stuff, fake your way through it. I guess fake your way through the quizzes. That'd be pretty hard though. We have a pretty big bank, but fake your way all the way through it. But you've wasted your own money. You wasted your own time, and your reputation now shows like, this is probably a person that used ChatGPT because you did. Mm-hmm. And okay, you didn't get much out of your education. There is, and that's also the reason we have partners that can screen out. They're probably going to screen out 1-star work. If I was looking for stuff, I'd screen out everything but 5 stars. But I don't know how many people we're going to see how that rating system goes.
Sure.
My cat just knocked over something.
Sorry, buddy.
But it's kind of like school. It's kind of like saying, well, what stops you from cheating? Nothing. You can cheat, but you're cheating yourself, and you're not really going to hurt anybody else because they're gonna actually be engaged in it. They're going to light up.
Well, and if you cheat and you don't have the skill, then that's going to be reflected in the attestations people make about you later on.
I was just going to say, I mean, that's the ultimate end destination of that methodology, right? Like, okay, sure, I've managed to bullshit my way through all of this, and I have, garnered what on the surface level looks like a pretty good on-chain resume. Now I'm being given a chance to, do this job for somebody. I have no clue what I'm doing. And now that's immediately reflected in like, ooh, yikes. Okay, well, these things that you've done are now being called into question. How did you get that? What did you actually do? And now you have exactly a new attestation that like, when push came to shove, couldn't deliver. Yeah. Goes onto the resume.
Yeah. And that, sucks. It would definitely suck. And that's not even the suckiest part. Wait till you try as hard as you can and you get 3 stars. And you figure out like, man, why can't I get these dang TikTok videos going? I know I'm a good TikTok person. I just can't seem to get any views. It's hard. It's hard to be good at things. And the only way to be good at them is doing it with your hands over and over, trying again. And so in different ways on this, you're interacting with different protocols as you do these things, but you're getting that experience. You might get 1 or 2 stars. You might try your best and get that. And then listen to the feedback, see what they said, match the rubric. We have a rubric that goes into every task that you can say, this will be 5-star work. This would be 4-star work. This would be 2-star work. And if you are consistently getting these low scores or getting stuff that you just don't want, that's a place where I think you would have to go and brush up on just either the experience or find another different place that you could go to help you kind of hone that skill. Now, we're hoping that doesn't happen. I hope that you can just come to the academy and get perfect 5-star work. But I built the academy and I don't make perfect 5-star work on the first try. I have to keep making this stuff over and over and over again and keep practicing at it. It's like any craft,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for making time to tell us all about Dragon Academy. And I hope that we get to come back, talk again once it's flourishing, once it's up, and you can drive us around a little more and show us some of the behind the scenes
show you the
stuff.
demo. That would be so fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much. And is there's anything we can do to support you, support the platform? If you need something from our audience, don't hesitate to ask, because I know they like this idea and want to see stuff like this live in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, follow us on Twitter. You can see all of our cool stuff going on there and all the stuff we're building and our progress. Probably get into the beta test. It's going to be really fun. So I would say follow Study Dragons NFT on Twitter. And thank you guys again so much for having me. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I know I kind of ramble sometimes and forget my place, but I really appreciate just being here and being able to share this thing that I've built with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime. And our audience is dropping in the comments. Everybody says thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So you got a lot of fans here today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.
Bye.
Alex, way to go, man. What a great conversation.
I'm saying these are just there's so much stuff happening in Web, and we talk about all the time, like, okay, how do you get into Web3? How do you use Web3? How do you experience the tech, play around with all this kind of stuff without just having to like over leverage yourself to invest in something that you don't want, like just under the guise of like, I'm gonna get rich, like this is gonna crush. And one of the things I had talked to her about specifically, because we talked about that idea that like, okay, well, getting access to this platform is not the cheapest thing in the world. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, getting an education is not always the cheapest thing in the world.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of avenues to make that more accessible, and I'm sure we didn't get to ask about that. Tori brings up a point about that. Well, I'm out. In terms of the money, I think it's going to keep a lot of people, especially those people who don't live in an English-speaking country, where $250 is not just like the cost of crypto, the game, but is in fact how much money they might make in a month. I imagine there's lots of room for scholarship to increase access and equity.
Oh my God, yeah. Micro grants, like all these kinds of things. I think just like more and more and more of that stuff is going to be, it's like she said, she made a very good point, right? Like the money is there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, like I find this with the rescue all the time, that, someone comes in who's known about us for ages, didn't really pay that close of attention, has adopted a dog from us before, and like just straight up didn't know how much we were hurting or how much this cost. Or like, when I have the conversation all the time, someone comes in and like, why are your adoption fees so high? And it's like, well, we actually lose money on every single dog because it costs about $8,000 a month to do all the vetting. And they're like, what? And never even consider that that's the case. I think the same thing is true of all of these different, things in every corner of the globe. And the second people find out like, hey, this individual has the capacity and the drive and the determination to like do XYZ, and they're being gate kept out of it by something to them, which is extremely, hard to overcome, $250, and to somebody else would not even notice it gone. We need a better way to connect all of those things. And, you want to talk about a good return on investment. Think about if you were, an entrepreneur, business owner, somebody who was very wealthy, who'd done very well for themselves, and you could unlock the potential in somebody who could just 100x your business with a $250 credit to use an educational platform or something. I'm being semi hyperbolic here, but it exists. I mean, the money's there. It's just not always in the right place.
Nick says sometimes people will still overlook it unless you have a niche or stand out somehow, which is also true. It's about connecting people and aligning incentives. You know how I feel. I'm kind of biased. I definitely think the more we can remove monetary capital from it, the better off we'll be, because it's sort of a dead on arrival incentive in terms of it will always be accumulate more capital at the end of that road. I really like that it provides a capital solution for people, but it doesn't necessarily orient every outcome around that. I feel like this is a good example of how at least it's decoupling speculation, in the sense that a lot of what's drawing people to make money in crypto, we see it in our comments all the time, is how much do I have to invest to make a return? Which token do I have to do that for? This is much more about using crypto in a way that has nothing to do with speculation to generate not just monetary capital, but you're getting social capital here. You are getting knowledge capital here. many other types of capital that can create 1,000x return if the platform is able to develop, if you're able to take those relationships and do stuff with them. I think that could be, really, that's the kind of thing we need more of in crypto.
Agreed.
So speaking of things we need more of in crypto, we need your crypto questions. It's Thursday. It's the end of the week. And I know you got stuff you want to know, whether you're joining us for the first time or you're one of our friends who's been hanging out. Thank you, everybody who makes this show great. I see, Monkey. I see Sonoran. I see Nick all the time. I see the Chog all the time. And Machiste all the time. Is Machiste getting married right now? Is that the honor? I was like, Jesus, man, if you're literally being married and tuning into the Rise Up Morning Show, that's dedication. You don't need to be that dedicated.
That's commitment.
But we are here for you if you have a crypto question. And if you don't have time to ask us today, you don't have space in the comments, then the place to ask us is in the Discord server. It's discord.gg/riseup. It's where the show lives 24/7, even when we're off the air. And we would love to see you there. It's an awesome community, learners at all levels of experience. And I do want to highlight for you, Alex and everybody, the class this weekend. We still have just a couple spots left for the live class. Totally free live classes this month, every week. This week's topic. Oh no, the cowboy hat missed you. I hate when that happens. Thank you, Keiko. This week's live topic is the most common scams in crypto and how to avoid them. Last week was Web3 101. Next week is how to DeFi. And then we're rounding out the month with a portfolio principles class that'll teach you, if you've never learned to do your own research, you've never really given much thought to how to track your crypto tokens as an investor, to think about those things, how you can start to think about them. And then if you're already thinking about them, maybe some additional considerations. And every class has time for feedback, question and answer, so that you can share what you're thinking about with us in a focused setting. That's not just a show where we're going from topic to topic. You are setting the agenda after we get our interview out of the way. It's like, it's up to you. Just like Wartooth said, it takes about a month to onboard somebody through this. There are a couple of hoops we find are helpful to go through. And so this series of classes here is designed to take you from knowing nothing to being able to move about the crypto space confidently, safely. And if you miss these live classes, we will do them again. When we do them again, they're out of your reach in terms of cost, because we understand that it's a barrier. We've done a couple of things to make them more accessible. You can purchase a recording for as low as $6. And if that's still too onerous for you, too much for you, that's why you need to come to the Discord community. It's always going to be free. We're never going to charge you to be in there. Ask us a question. That's why we call this the Rise Up Morning Show, because when we all share what we know, learn and grow, we can rise up together. So check out the classes, check out the Discord community. And then, Alex, I don't know about you, but I would love to talk a little about some of the common scams and schemes. I thought it might be fun to give people a little taste, a little preview of that. Although I'm happy to defer to you, and happy to defer to you if you have questions that you'd like us to talk about instead.
I think we can. I do want to go over just the data that we got about an hour ago now.
What's there to say? You gave us the headline, man. Are you gonna? Oh, don't make me do macro. I'm just kidding. We can do it.
Well, I mean, just because, like I said, if things are a little bit in a shaky spot, and you get some, on the what looks to be, slightly above expectations news about inflation, then maybe we'll get a little juicier, a little juicier of a dip, some better prices on some stuff. So I don't know. I'm curious to hear. I'm sure that Will get something up at some point today, because the man is prolific. So I would honestly tell people, like, hey, listen, Evan and I can sit here and we can look pretty and we can try really hard to go through all of the macro stuff, but our macroeconomic correspondent, Will Watson, is definitely needed to make some real sense of it. But CPI did come out. We got it a little smidge ago. Now people are waiting to see, what's old Powell going to do. 0.1% above expectation, I guess, which, I don't know. I'm one of those people that sees that. I'm like, okay, what's the margin of error on this stuff? Because that doesn't seem egregious.
Yeah, 0.1%. Come on, man.
And I mean, I don't know. I just, like, we've seen and weathered like so much worse, in crypto, and here we are. And I feel like we kind of get blinders every time news comes out. It's like, this is it. This is the end. I've already seen like 6 or 7 tweets that are just like, well, it's over. And it's like, you guys are fucking pathetic. You know, like, honestly, who cares? Like, does that change the case for Bitcoin? And honestly, it's so wild that that's the thing. Like, hey, inflation got slightly worse. Bitcoin's price is going to go down. It's like, what the actual hell are you guys ever doing?
That's kind of how I feel. I feel like, you know, unless it's big news,
stupid.
Unless it's big news, which is not to say, you know, like poo-poo on you if you follow that news. I think it's great. I think it's somewhat like reading tea leaves. I think it's somewhat like trading by the moon. I think there are people who do it well, live by it. That's great. It's just not how I like to spend my time, I have to say. It's one of those things I feel like gives people the guise of Alex, what's a good analogy? I was going to say seatbelts, but seatbelts, you know, there's a lot of conclusive research about what they do and don't do. I feel like this is different than that, where it just makes people feel better, but it's not necessarily, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's almost like having money in the bank. Money in the bank is great because it will allow you to buy medicine at the store and get a flight home to see your grandma. But if things really hit the fan, how much money is it going to take you to have in the bank? And even if you got all the money in the bank in the world, what if you need to make a fire with sticks? What if you need to I don't know, clean the salt from the water as you drink it so that you don't die? Is it really going to do anything for you? No, you can't eat it. I don't know. I'm getting off on a tangent here.
I mean, I get the point though, for sure. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, I wait for the data to come out just to see if, like, because we know that the market is reactive to stuff like this. But at the end of the day, I just genuinely don't really think it matters that much in the grand scheme of things. I mean, what honestly is going to change for people as a result of this? Shit's still expensive. We're still in the same place we were in 20 minutes ago before the data came out. The markets are tumultuous as they are wont to be. As they are wont to be. What a great phrase. Next month we'll get different data and we'll completely reassess, And we'll still be here. So we do have some good comments coming in that I want to read. I see what Travis says about we should come to the Tokenize conference in Vegas at the end of the month. That would be cool. Listen, Travis, you can sponsor the flight and make it happen, and we can be there and do some live coverage. One of the things Alex and I really want to be thoughtful about at the end of the year, at the beginning of next year, is doing some more IRL stuff. Mm-hmm. We would love to travel to more conferences. We're really trying to secure the base of pay for the show to fund things like equipment expansion. We need to upgrade the streaming setup. We really do. Scholarship, sponsorship, those kinds of things that will allow us to have a budget for travel, for live events. We want to bring the community together, IRL. We want to have a place where you and also the people who've yet to join us can come, can learn about crypto, can experience what it is to just have a good time in community where not everybody is talking like a robot. And, Vegas is the land of my birth. So if you got the hookup, let us know. We certainly will do the outreach. It might be a little short notice for us, but we want to be where you are. We were thinking about Atlanta as one of the first spots that many folks have expressed an interest in having us gather. There are some companies there that we think could sponsor the space, that could give us, the funds to at least have a hotel to stay in, kind of thing. But we're open. Have legs, we'll travel. Nick, do we think Sui could take down Sol? I don't know what Alex thinks. I think mostly any layer one has the potential to displace any other layer one that it directly competes with. So the question, wow, Alex, did you just pop down? Did you just crawl under your desk and pop up? No, I walked through the old. Okay, it was my peripheral vision. I was looking at the camera. It looked like Alex was right here, and then he just went. I'm sorry. The question, Alex, was, do you think Sui can take down Sol? And I said, I don't think they're necessarily competing unless they're competing. There are areas that they might be competing, but I don't think it's a matter of this one can take down this one, except for speculators.
You know what I mean? Like speculators are the only ones saying like, should I put my money here or here? Everyone else is saying, do I need
Yeah.
plumbing or do I need a cell phone? I need both.
Yeah,
And waiting for them to build stuff.
I don't know. It's a personal pet peeve of mine, not to say anything against whoever asks questions like that, because I think they're valid questions. I just don't like that adaptation of the narrative. Like, I'm trying to think of a parallel. Okay, so Verizon comes out with something new, T-Mobile comes out with something new, whatever. You never hear like it's the Verizon killer. It's like, nope, it's just a competing network. Maybe you'll switch to this one, and then maybe this one will do something, and you switch back. You maybe use this internet service provider for a bit, and then this one does a better incentive, so you switch over there. Like these chains are the same thing. We've been, since the beginning of the industry, we've been having the conversation like, what's going to be the ETH killer? What's going to flip Bitcoin? What's going to kill this? What's going to kill that? These things are totally capable of killing themselves without anyone else needing to do better. And there's so much room for these things to like work alongside each other, or to work in tandem, or to provide, different kinds of specific services and stuff like that. I have zero like reason to think that Sui is just going to kill Solana. Like, what does that even mean? Like Solana's gonna be like, well, Sui's here now, let's close up shop, or does it just mean that Sui's gonna get, more valued and rise in the rankings and all that sort of stuff. I don't know, the phrase like blockchain killer in some capacity, I just don't even get. Really what are we suggesting is going to happen, or what are we speculating could happen? Plus it's a hot ecosystem. It's not really even that new, but like the attention on it is very new. A lot of people are seeing it for the first time. A lot of people are realizing like, hey, they've got stuff. Hey, this works. Hey, this is cool. Which is great. Just like let it crush and let it flourish and let them do their thing and see if they can carve out like their own specific spot. That's one thing that they don't have right now, is like a strong foothold into something specific. They're just kind of cheap and fast, but that's the bumper sticker of basically everything. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Solana killer, no.
It's like you kind of say, you said it really well, and you often say, I feel like something to the effect of, I'm losing my train of thought. What do you say, Alex? When you're talking about usability, you're talking about market share, you're talking about.
I'm trying to figure out where you're going.
Me too. I had a really clear plan, and then it's like the plane in my mind just flew off the map completely. It's a good point though. What it is it's you said it the other day. It's not I'm selling an NFT. We could say this, like it's a business model like Queen Wartooth. You're not selling an NFT. You're building an educational platform that will allow people to prove their skills and build their skills over time, to find work, and also have fun while they're doing it. The way you're delivering it is partially tied to an NFT, is using blockchain to attest to things. Unless and until Sui becomes the leading mobile provider, or your favorite place to video game, or your, a dating network for chefs, I don't know. As long as it remains like a competitive blockchain, a fast, scalable blockchain, like, you know what I mean? Like you're selling to a very limited audience, and it's hard to establish proof in that pudding.
Yeah, really, if you want to talk about like something that has the capacity to take over as like the reigning champ, I would not look at who's able to steal existing market share from other blockchains by, stealing some attention away from token holders because they speculate that there might be more room for short-term growth with token B than token A now. So in that capacity, could more people buy Sui right now but could they sell Sol to buy Sui? Sure. Why? Because it's trendy and that's it. Does that mean anything in like the grand scheme of things as far as like an actual adoption of the network, or like the inflow of users or developers to start building, launching, and scaling services, products, and companies like on that network? No. Could they capture that? Absolutely. but I have yet to see, Base is the only one that I've seen like really kind of start to touch on it. And I still think that they're not doing the best job that they could, just because they don't have the people to do it. To like reach out and get brand new people who have not been in the space before and bring them into the on-chain world and get them to do some stuff. Like if Sui was out like touching grass at conferences and like, recruiting new users in a new way that we haven't seen before. Because think about how these ecosystems usually interact with the public. It's usually at a conference, which is one, often pay gated, and two, very exclusive. I mean, people don't just like Google local blockchain tech conferences if they've never been into Web3 and crypto and like go show up and try to figure out how they can onboard. That just simply doesn't happen. How does it happen? It happens through repeated social media interactions and people talking about this kind of stuff and finally finding a way where they can connect with this one person who happens to be scrolling by and be like, oh, wait a second, that's kind of interesting. Off the grid is way better for blockchain game, is way better for attracting new people than Sui's new DeFi protocol, whatever, that might steal, attention. But I mean, when you talk about like, there you go. Actually, that's the perfect example. Something that happened yesterday is probably going to happen again today and happen the day before that will bring new people into the world where they might start to touch something on chain for the first time. Ninja streaming off the grid for 12 hours straight. I mean, he's got viewers that have never heard of this stuff, that have no clue what it is, that are going to look at it for the first time because he played off the grid.
Yeah, so and that's big for Avalanche. That's big for every other Web3 game. That's big for all of us because of one highly specific use case that on its surface has nothing to do with crypto.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and you never have to talk about it once to make the point, to get the point across that this is cool, that this is worth your time.
And just some quick numbers for people who are like looking at Sui and they're like, okay, but let's talk about it. Is it too late for me to invest? Can I make some money? Here's what I want you to know. Sui, like most cryptocurrencies, is a venture style investment. They raised $336 million from VCs prior to their public token sale. Okay. And you're like, yeah, okay, but it's billions of dollars now token. What is it, like 5-7 billion, something like that? It might be even more than that. It might be 8 billion. I feel like is the number.
Almost five. Yep.
Down from 8, right? I think it was up at 8 at one point. So, okay. So those VCs have probably made their money, but here's what I want you to think about is this is like 2021 was when they did their Series A. A16Z led that series. It was $36 million. When somebody invests in a crypto company in a Series A, these venture capitalists, they have to vest their tokens, usually for years. It's years before they can sell their tokens. And they're looking to make a 10x. Their $36 million series, if they gave away, I don't know, but they probably give away like 10% to 20% of the company that way through all the rounds of their investment. That means that their company is valued at $360 million. And then they get a Series B that's $300 million. So those investors have made a 10x. And these new investors are looking to make a 10x. Now they have a company that's valued at like $1 billion. So they're looking for this thing to hit $10 billion before they can make their exit, before they can really make what their target for investment is based on, how venture investments perform. And now you have about a quarter of the supply is in circulation. And Sui, its price is going up as tokens unlock. The market wants it. But that's because people like you and me are scrambling to get a piece of this company that has a huge valuation, but no real product attached. It's not like Apple was launched and sold a bunch of computers, or Telegram becomes publicly available and everyone starts to use it, millions of people. It's like, no, here's this highly valued company by VCs that people are FOMOing into, that the VCs want to sell on you as it becomes available. It is, most cryptocurrencies have a story like this. Can you make money on it? Yes. How do you make money on it? By being as early as possible, probably earlier than most people in a general public have the opportunity to be. Yeah,
no, it's a good point, because you have to ask yourself, like, if you're in the position where what you would like to do is speculate, completely, totally fine, super understandable. That's what most of this stuff is for anyway. You have to ask yourself, like, okay, what am I competing against when I look at buying something like Sui? So we can look at attention. We can look at, rising popularity. We can look at more trendy headlines and more social media posts about it and all that sort of stuff. If there's not more, it will die. Hype is not permanently sustainable. It will run out of steam. When that happens, it will crash. There is, of course, up for total debate and speculation, which is what we're doing here. How far will it go before that happens? Can it double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, whatever? But the point is, like, there's only a few that I can really think of, ecosystems with a native currency that people are actively buying, not to speculate, but to use. And I would say that at this point, Solana has just started to really get there, this year and maybe end of last year. But up until then, were there things that you could do there? Of course. Were most people who bought Sol doing it for that? No. And I still think a tremendous number of people who buy Sol are only doing it because they would like to sell that Sol later for more money than they paid for it. But look at ETH. I don't speculate on ETH anymore. I exclusively acquire it when I need to use it. And that's it. Which means that I make much smaller, more measured purchases for it. But that's the way that the thing exists. And so if you can't look at the ecosystem that you're looking at long-term like that, wherein I'm no longer buying this thing because I want to speculate on its future value. I need to use it, or I know that other companies are needing to use it, or whatever, if it's a B2B thing. That's what you're going for. That's how you determine long-term conviction in something that may withstand the test of time, that may be here in 5 years, that sort of stuff.
And Alex, nobody's got a crystal ball.
Nope.
So who knows what's going to be here in 3 to 5 years? I don't know. The
Not
best
a clue.
thing you can do is remain agile. It totally is. Nick and I are talking in the comments about Celestia. He says that when the tokens unlock, it's going to be a good time to buy because price will be down 3 times. But to his point, to your point, I would say, who knows if it's going to come back up? I don't know. I just am so much, I'm so much more interested in the ways that people can make money that don't involve speculating. Like Tori was talking about how, if shit hits the fan, my brain is worth more than money in the bank. I've got skills. And skills, knowledge, networks, those are always going to be valuable things. And they may not be immediately as valuable in terms of dollars as the ability to gamble on something that goes up 10 times in price in the next hour.
Mm-hmm. But
they're reliable. And long-term they're valuable. I don't know. I don't know. I'm in it for the long term. I'm in it for wealth. Wealth is the ability to fully experience life, and it really has nothing to do with money. And if you need money to help you get there, then that's what's going to help you accumulate the monetary capital every single time after time after time. I don't know. It's my war horse. I beat it all the time.
I mean, that's really what we're. There you go. You were close. That's really what we're talking about, though, when we say remain agile. So use Celestia as an example. If a massive token unlock happens and the price crumbles, as a result, it dips, and you're like, okay, perfect, and you get some, and then it goes up 40% on the rebound. Sell some. You don't know if it's going to go up more than that. That's the thing that I see that wrecks way more people. I mean, if I could, if you were going to count how many people have seen profit and then held out for higher profit and lost what they made because of that just overinflated sense of what these things can do based on the chest thumping on social media from a bunch of morons that don't know what they're talking about, that number is ludicrous.
Oh man, so many round trippers. We just had somebody in one of our help tickets say, I need to learn how to take profits. I hear that all the time. Yeah. I needed to do that. You and I both, Alex. We've been round trippers.
That's the thing that changed. Do you know how many 4, 5, 6 X's I've made this cycle? None. Not a single one. But I've made more money this time and realized it than I ever have before, because I see a 30% increase in price one day. I'm like, dope, sell. And then who cares? If it goes up another 600% from there, but then falls 20% and I get some, and then it does another 30% from there, I don't give two shits what the price of it actually is. And I'm not focused on well, I could have made more, if I held more. That's always the case. You don't have to look very far to find an example of if I had only, hindsight is 2020, obviously. So that's the thing that wrecks more people. It's not about something doesn't have the potential to pump. It's crypto. Everything can pump for no reason at all.
Totally. One day Bitcoin will be up and everything will be up.
Case in point, yesterday or the day before, whatever, Brian Armstrong tweets a picture of him and his wife, his now wife. They just got married, and they're walking a dog down the aisle.
Congratulations, guys.
Top comment on that post is pump.fun saying, "What's the dog's name for research purposes?" I guarantee that I have not looked, but I would be willing to bet money that there's some sort of adaptation and probably a bunch of tokens launching that are memes that have to do with Brian Armstrong's dog, right? And I guarantee that someone made money on those.
Yeah.
I guarantee that someone lost money on those. And that's the way that the world works. But you know who lost are the people who are like, this isn't up enough for me. I'm not leaving. And then you round trip it back to zero. And that's just what happens because of an overinflated sense of entitlement to multi-100% gains on everything in crypto, because that's the story that's being told by dipshits.
Yeah, and that's the question. Carol asked it here. We can drill down on this a little deeper. How do you simplify the tracking of change day to day, whenever, month to month, week to week? How do you simplify it so that you know, I am up today. I will take profits today. What tools do you like to use? For me, I like to simplify it as much as absolutely possible. I most of all have investments that are long-term holds, meaning if I don't take profit on them for more than a year, it's going to be totally fine. I'm talking here about my Bitcoin, for example. I really don't plan to sell any until Bitcoin is worth, what I think. I think it will be worth $1 million or more a token someday. It is my money for retirement. Every time I buy $7 of Bitcoin, I am saying this will pay for your car payment in the future. This will pay for your dinner in the future. Like, that's how I'm thinking about Bitcoin. I track maybe 3 or 4 other tokens. And when I say track, I mean, I'm not even looking at them every day. When Alex happens to mention, because we talk about it all the time, that Solana is up, I look. And what I write is, if I wanted to do pen and paper, I would keep a single page in my notebook for how I buy Solana. I've probably paid to buy Solana a handful of times this year. Okay. And I would write down the day, the amount I bought in dollars, and then what the price of Sol was at the time, so that in a moment I can look and see, I tend to spend $120 per Solana every time I buy Solana, whether I buy a small amount or a big amount. Great. It's $150 today. That's a 20% gain. I can sell some. I'm going to sell, not my whole portfolio, because there's a chance it could go back down. So I'm going to sell enough to take some profits. If it goes up, that's great. I'll make more money on the Sol that I held. If it goes down, that's great. I believe in it for the long term because I understand what it's doing in our ecosystem, where the attention is. I can buy more on the dip. I can continue to bring my average price lower. I tracked that with a spreadsheet. If you don't like using a spreadsheet, or that's too cumbersome, you can use something like the Coinbase app, right? We talked about that before. It says day by day your unrealized profit, your total gain or loss. And then I would say too, a software like Coinly. Create a username, a password, follow the instructions on their website to plug in your wallets, your exchanges that you use to buy crypto. They have a step-by-step search bar. You type in Coinbase, how to connect your Coinbase account. You can follow the prompts. And then it will show you day by day, moment by moment, hour by hour kind of thing of all the tokens in your portfolio. You're up, you're down. You could capitalize on this by taking a loss or whatever. I think keeping it simple is the name of the game. And I don't know if you have other tools you like to use, Alex. I feel like we're so deep in it that we almost maybe will explain it poorly because we just have, we work what works and we're kind of casual about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to simplify.
It is.
All the way down, just because the internal dialogue and, you know, like my core thesis on profit taking, I have developed literally over the last 6 years of messing up. And to condense like 6 years of thought process down into a sentence is impossible. Because literally, like if I was to do it, I don't know that it would be that helpful. Like, because I would tell you, you know, I buy regularly as it makes sense for me and what I can afford to invest, and money that I don't need back right now. I observe these things on a weekly basis, and if I see an uncharacteristically large move up or down, I react accordingly. That's my entire thesis.
Can I zoom in on that? That's part of it too, is Alex, you check it regularly, but not every single day. I feel like if you check it too much, it becomes like the weather. But if you check it irregularly, but regular, like every week you say, then you're going to know, oh, it's up this week, it's down this week. 6 months from now, you're going to know it. The way that if Alex and I have a call every day and he's feeling sick or down or up or whatever, I can just tell because we spent enough time together. I think that's part of it too.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wow, Solana's $200 today. That seems high because I check it enough to know.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to highlight Crypto Snapshot because we did that video for them. And one of the tools that they have that's really good that anybody can start using right now is they have an exit strategy calculator so that you can just put in, this is what I paid for my token. This is how often I'd like to take profits on it. And it will tell you, you know, at what rate, at what price you should think about taking profits. And you can turn what you put in their site into a spreadsheet. The account you want to follow here on TikTok is Crypto Snapshot. Crypto Tuna is the guy's name, Dwayne, and he does a really nice job of not going too fast and giving examples. I think he did one the other day with HBAR as a token. He's like, you know, you're curious about HBAR. Here's what I think about it, but you know, here's as a token that I track how I use Crypto Snapshot to do it. You know, I calculate when I should be buying it based on what the price has been recently, how long I want to hold it, when I want to take profits. And it's just a matter of kind of plugging in some numbers. I think that's really helpful.
I agree. I mean, you have to start and try with something and then decide whether or not that's good or bad and then adjust. It's not a thing that you're going to like show up on day one and nail, which is why I preach conservatism when you're talking about, you know, getting into investing in this stuff. It's hyper volatile and you're going to mess it up. So just like, you know, calm down. Know that I'm going to tell you right now, know that you're not going to hit the 100x. And I can say that with the same confidence that I tell you you're not going to win the lottery. Not to say that it's impossible, just that like you can't go into the whole arena with the plan that like I'm gonna win the lottery. You know, no one buys a lottery ticket investing. You don't take like, you know, it's a chance, right? And this is the same kind of thing. And you got to remember that it's always misrepresented and mischaracterized on social media. You know, the people who have really high trading averages, it's bullshit. Maybe they're better. There are very good traders and there are bad traders. I know that because I am a terrible trader and there are people who make a full-time living trading. But, you know, they're also not going to sit there and post like every single miss, you know, and none of them have 100%. So it's just, you just have to temper your expectations accordingly and just realize that things on social media are exaggerated for effect all the time. Which is boring. I mean, it's boring. It's boring to say that, but like, I'm sorry. It just so happens to be the truth. Evan, as we wrap up, there's an interesting little piece of news. So, you know, someone made the comment that Uniswap is pushing today, which of course is because of their announcement of Unichain. They are a DeFi specific L2, which I'll be honest, I have mixed feelings about. What's your initial reaction to Uniswap launching a DeFi focused L2?
Well, my initial reaction is
wait, hold on. My initial reaction is
Exactly. That's my initial
Perfect.
reaction. So I need to read more because I'm thinking, why aren't they?
No. Give me a reaction sans reading. You can read later.
Okay. My reaction sans reading is, why do they need to build their own layer 2? There are so many great L2s that exist. They already have their own token. So like, what's the role of their token? I don't know. I'm curious as to why it needs to exist.
That's the good part for me, is that we're not launching a new token here, at least that I can tell. We are using Uni for more stuff. And in that sense, that's great. In that case, do whatever you want. Enhance the utility of the thing that I already have. We don't need to launch a new token. So I'm, fingers crossed. If they launched a new one, I would be pissed. I can't even imagine a world in which they would do that. That would be the most monumentally terrible BD decision I've ever seen. But
yeah,
it's possible. But no, I mean, cool. Honestly, if Uniswap is like doing more stuff with the Uni token, I think in a vacuum that's really good. It can also hurt because the chain could be bad. It could be shit, and if that's the case, it could hurt the token as well. It's not a separate token that can fail. It's like the same thing. But I would say personally that, just given like my experience with Uniswap over the years, I am not super worried. I don't think that they're going to shit the bed.
No, they're not going to shit the bed. But what I'm curious about is like what this does to Ethereum in terms of right now, L2s are making so much money.
Yeah.
And I understand it. I totally understand why you would want your own L2 to do dedicated stuff. Makes sense, faster, cheaper. Uniswap is big enough to need its own chain in that regard. But I don't know. When I said, do they need it? My question is like, do we need it? Is what Ethereum needs more another layer 2 to scale it? Or I'm starting to fall into this camp that we might need to do less on layer 2 and focus more on scaling layer 1, or focus on L2s that help us scale the L1. I don't know. I think I could argue both sides of it. My brain is unconcluded. In one world, the L2s are going to help the L1 reach ubiquity. So it doesn't matter how much money they take from it, because one day Ethereum will be the foundation of the future internet. On the other hand, if the L2s take all the money and the network incentives to make L1 more secure cease to exist, then people are not going to be giving no one's going to want to build on the L1. Like, I don't know. It's kind of a chicken or an egg problem. If they're building it though, like I trust Uniswap.
Yeah.
No,
I think the inherent issue would not be Uniswap specific. It would be more broad. Like you said, just the implications of more and more and more and more layer 2s, because in the same vein, Ape Chain, I mean, Yuga is building a layer 2.
And I was really bearish on that until I saw, did you see they just hired I don't remember what his position is, but 0x quit. Yeah. He's like, a Zach XBT type character who does great on-chain work. I was really bullish about that.
I mean, that's good. Good people can make or break you, of course. So I'm hopeful that certainly helps the situation. Yuga's got a lot of ground to make up. Although I was really lucky on the last time I did Simplified. We were talking about the new revamped whatever Dookie Dash, which is their little kind of
they revamped
exploration tunnel surfer. Yeah, they're running more stuff. I don't know if it's an entirely new game. I'd have to go back and look. But as we were talking about it and kind of talking about how just like the ground that Yuga's lost, the ground they have to make up, questions about where all this money went, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. The lead developer of that game popped into the space and just came up and took every question, which was awesome. And then I got to connect with him afterwards, and he was great. He killed it. I'd have to look up the name of the studio. He doesn't work for Yuga. They are like the game studio that Yuga contracts to do their stuff, and they're just like very talented. But it was super interesting. I mean, so, in that sense, Yuga has every capacity to be epic and to make Ape Chain great. I vividly remember it's been ApeCoin has been a roller coaster cryptocurrency for me over the years. Because when it first came out, I was like, because that was one of the first. That was one of the first times that a major NFT project had also then launched, like a more liquid, trading token for XYZ, whatever. And for a lot of reasons, it was an amazing idea. It's such a good move for so many different reasons. It ended up not really being used effectively.
Yeah.
And obviously hasn't performed great. I have no clue what the price is, but I'm sure it's, catastrophically lower than it was at its all-time high, whatever. But we'll see. I mean, you can keep trying, or you can give up, and I think that's just one of the things that we have to adjust when we're in Web3. It's just like startups are going to do startup stuff. It's not always going to be perfect.
Yeah, and the other thing that it makes me think about too, like the Unichain, A-Chain, is we talked a little while ago about, is the new meta layer ones rebranding themselves? I also think one of the new metas is launching your own chain right now. And one of the things I wish we'd gotten to ask Icy about last night was Sonium. I am really interested in the launch of like layer 2s or even layer 1s, public and private stuff. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I wouldn't surprise me at all if everybody's going to want their own chain, not necessarily their own token, because that was the move for a while. But I think people are going to want their own chain, and they might do the base thing, where it's built on optimism. ETH is the token, or if they're Uniswap and they already have a token, the chain will give accessibility and extension of value to their token. But I think that could be a new meta.
Probably.
Everybody gets their own blockchain.
Yep.
So, are you well, Matt? You got a final thought, good joke, word of wisdom, question, suggestion, complaint, blessing?
I never complain about anything.
You got a quote you want to share? And I'm talking to you guys too. If you got something you want to share before we head out for the weekend, let me know.
I think to your point, something that I really personally enjoy, something that I would like to see more of. One of the projects that I met with and talked to about Shades of Sin was called Eclipse. I'll pull it up and share it in Discord. They are, like a gaming incubator, gaming ecosystem, all that sort of stuff. You can launch games with them. They have a testnet, all this kind of stuff. And that was one of the things that I talked to with their CEO, was like, I just want to get this out there because this has been a deal breaker before. I have zero interest in launching a token. There's probably not going to be one. If there is, it won't be for many years, and it won't be until everyone is asking me for it. And then it will not be, ICO'd. There will not be any initial investor buy-ins. It will just start being trickled to players. Like, it's not. So that, that's the way. I would rather just use USDC. And the dude's eyes just lit up. He's like, yes, yes. And that's all I want. Like, if I'm building on Avalanche, my game will use AVAX. If I'm building on Solana, it will use Sol or USDC on Sol, or a USDC on AVAX. So there's my final thought. The reason that I'm cautiously optimistic about Unichain, I just want more things that I can do with tokens I already have. And I want that 1,000,000 times more than I want a new token.
Yeah. 100%. Good thought. If you are not in the Discord yet, you need to head over to the Discord, because I've just posted the link to that crypto snapshot exit strategy profit calculator tool. It'll tell you how much, what, when to take profits for tokens that you hold. And we have a video about how to use their tool that is an overview. It's not a super deep dive. They've made a lot of changes since then, and they're, Crypto Tuna, Cosmic Crypto, friends and folks you know and love from right here on TikTok, or on TikTok if you're watching on YouTube, that built that tool, totally free for you to use. And I would encourage you to check it out if taking profits is something you're struggling to make sense of right now. It's in the Discord, in the general chat. And don't forget to check the announcements in the Discord for the link to sign up for our course this weekend, How to Stop Losing Money in Crypto on the Most Common Scams and Schemes. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, if you want to look better, feel better when you drink your coffee in the morning, then what you need is the Rise Up Morning Show mug. It can be yours, my friend, for I think it's $15.99 plus shipping and handling to wherever you live. It supports the show, just like the time you spend here. We couldn't do this without you. We really, really appreciate you. And shout out to Nick, who said we need 2x2 stickers. We do have some stickers, but I think it's time we get some fresh stickers and some other cool merch. So if there's something you want to see from the show, whether it's a topic, a piece of merch, something to do to make our free or premium services more valuable, then do let us know. We listen to all your feedback. We take it all very seriously, and you are the best part of what we do. So thank you guys for spending time with us. We're going to be back on Monday, same time, same place, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. And until then, my friends, we hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe. Everybody, rise up.